everyone. This is Tamara from shelfaddiction.com, and welcome to episode 170. Tonight on Book Chat, we are kicking off the read-along featuring Realm Enforcers, a paranormal romance series by Rebecca Zanetti. We are discussing Wicked Ride, the first of 5 books in this series. If this is your first time joining us, head on over to Shelf Addiction to learn more about the 3 book bloggers' one series read-along. There's still time for you to join in and start reading. If you'd like to comment on tonight's episode, you can find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. You can also find Twitter links for my book blogger read-along co-host in the show notes. Join the conversation now and tweet at us using our special hashtag 3bloggers1series. That's using the numeric 3 and 1. Again, that's hashtag 3bloggers1series. If you'd like to chat on a discussion thread, join the Shelf Addiction online book club. The link is below in the show notes. As always, if you'd like to email in feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@shelfaddiction.com or call in and leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe or the Anchor app. I hope to hear your thoughts on tonight's discussion. The links are below in the show notes. Hey everyone, we are back again, and this time we have our new series. And I am joined again with 2 lovely ladies, Nicola and Casey. And before we jump into the book, you ladies go ahead and introduce yourselves for the newcomers.
Hi everyone, I'm Casey. I'm a reviewer at Literary Escapism and a freelance editor at Heartful of Ink.
Yay, welcome Casey. Woo, woo.
Yay! And I'm Nicola. Hey everybody. I review at alphaheroes.net. It's my own blog, and I also do some reviews for RT. So here we are.
Yes, and you guys know me. I'm Tamara at Shelf Addiction. If you don't already know, shame on you, but okay. So we're here. And we are talking about the first book in the Realm Enforcer series called Wicked Ride by Rebecca Zanetti. Okay, ladies, let's just go for broke. What did you think, what high level, what did you think about this book? I'll let you guys go first.
What do you mean high? Okay, high level. So I liked it. Now I know that it's not everybody is enthusiastic about this one, but I'm a Rebecca Zanetti fan. I've read her Scorpius Rising series and love it. So this was good for me. I liked it.
Yeah. What about you, Casey?
This was the first Rebecca Zanetti book I've ever read, and I wasn't blown away, but I think that's because this is a spin-off series, and I didn't know that until, I don't know, halfway through this book when I was like, what is going on? Why are all these people here? Where do they come from? I'm really confused now. I was like,
yeah, I noticed that too, and I have not read the Origin series, so I was a little like, oh shoot, there's magic here that I don't know about. Whoops.
Yeah, I was like, who are these people?
I think I had a similar feeling when I realized as well that this was a spinoff. I'm kind of like, well, I mean, I didn't feel completely lost having not read the other, but I feel like I was missing some of the essence that would have, I guess, made me feel maybe a little bit more excited about what was going on or even relate to these characters in a different way. But, you know.
Yeah, I think it stands alone, but there was definitely a few moments where you're like, hey, I don't know everything that I think I'm supposed to know about this.
Yeah, I would have loved a little, and I guess if we had read the original, we would have gotten a little bit of the backstory into the witches and the realm and all this other stuff. Maybe we'll get more information in the next book, but I mean, it was okay. I mean, I agree. It could be, we could start right here and it was fine. You know, it wasn't blaringly missing, but it was missing a little bit.
Yeah, I think the main thing, if we want, go ahead.
I was going to say, it was easy to understand and follow the plot, but there were cameos that I feel I didn't get because I didn't know these people. And then there was not a lot of world building or description. And I was like, but what is this? Why does this make sense? And I feel like that was explained in the previous books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was okay with the world building, but I will agree that like when the king made his appearance, I was maybe not as impressed as I should have been. I'm like, I don't know who this guy is. And
Yeah.
so, maybe if you'd had that background, you would have been, more gasping or something like, oh my God. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
or
like,
even all the familial relationships, like, oh, who's cousin and who married who. And it's like, okay, well, obviously this must have been explained through other books.
okay, how
I
about you,
mean,
Tamara? Your high level. What's your high level?
I thought it was okay. Um, it wasn't something that I necessarily didn't dislike. I know I said double negative, didn't dislike, but you know what I mean. I didn't not like it, but I didn't like there. I
Get
did
it
it
out,
again.
Tamara. Come on.
Like, it's honestly, really, like, I kind of just am like, meh, it's okay. Like, it's not bad, but it's not good either in my book. But full disclosure, I have read other series where I did not like the first book, but I fell in love with it the second book. So I'm not going to like discount it yet because I want to see what could happen in book two. But high level, it was meh for me in the middle. And that's, just keeping it real.
that happens with a lot of series. Yeah.
So I was really kind of worried because honestly, the motorcycle club thing I've tried a few of them and I really have had trouble liking them. And I was happy that this was not, this didn't have the same problems that some of the other books did for me. Like I don't care how amazing your heroes are. The first time somebody in their brotherhood refers to their women as bitches or old ladies, I'm kind of out.
Yeah.
And so and I know people love Kristen Ashley, and there's a couple other ones that I've tried, and I just can't get into them. But this one, the motorcycle club were kind of like the bad guys, and that did work for me. So.
One thing that annoyed me, and even Alex pointed it out, the character. How many times are people going to point out her quote unquote sweet ass? I'm like, oh my God, how many times are we going to say this phrase? Like, sweet ass. Yeah, that just bothered me a little bit. I don't know why. And I mean, I don't know. It just did. Even from the hero, when he was saying it, I was kind of like, gag me with a pitchfork a little bit.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well, it must be said the heat level in this is way higher than the Patricia Briggs. So if we want to kind of compare the two series, there's definitely a higher erotic content here. So I think that a lot of times that'll make or break a series for people, whether they like what's there or whether they don't like what's there, and that's so subjective. It's really hard to give that a rating that people are going to be able to follow.
Yeah, it definitely was spicy, and I don't mind spice. Honestly, I don't mind a more erotic, read at times, but like, I don't know, just something about that phrase in particular. Like, a couple different men said it, and then Cal keeps saying it. I'm like, okay, we understand, we understand. So yeah, but that's just me.
Casey, what did you think?
I mean, yeah, there were a few repetitive words that I was kind of like, can we find something else to say here? Like, quickly was said 3 times in a paragraph. But that's just me being an editor going, let's use some different words here. Let's mix it up a little bit. And so I'm trying not to let that ruin my focus on the story, because that's not really part of the story. And so overall, yeah, I agree with you about the motorcycles. I like that the gang was actually the bad guys, but I do have to say I loved Bear. I think he was my favorite character in this book.
Yeah,
I liked him too, and she shot him, and he was still nice to her.
Yeah.
Yes, he was kind of cool. I mean, at first you kind of didn't know what to make of him, but he was a cool dude. I kind of like him too. He's like that sleeper friend, like sleeper cell. Like, you don't know what to make of him. He's a good guy, but you never know. He's very dangerous, but he's cool. So
he was very chill until he wasn't, right? He wasn't like the hothead.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like you said, she shot him accidentally, and he was still like, yeah, if Kel ever dies, come find me.
Right. Yeah.
He did kind of like her from like the very beginning. Like he was like feeling her, and then he's like, "Oh, you're made it to him. Okay, so we're just gonna pump the brakes on this right now." So yeah. He's cool. So, okay. So I mentioned a little bit of something that was repetitive. And there's one more thing that was repetitive to me. And I feel like I want to talk about it just a little bit. And it's how many times does Alex have to say, quote, "I'm a cop"? I feel
50
like
million times.
I feel like we could have played a drinking game and gotten completely drunk if we saw how many. Seriously, take a shot every time she says, "I'm a cop, I'm a cop, I'm a cop." I'm like, I understand. I mean, and I know that's me nitpicking. I know it is. But like things like that, like the repetitiveness of certain things, that kind of grinds me a little bit. And I'm not an editor. I'm a reader. I love reading, and that grinds me. But I'm also a detail stickler as well. You know, I'm definitely, maybe that has something to do with it. But and it might not bother a lot of people, but it kind of bothered me just a tad.
Well, if we're going to do a drinking game, I was going to say, if we're going to do a drinking game, let's add in every time she makes a bad decision or jumps to false conclusions immediately.
Yeah,
because she did that way too many times.
Yeah, that did get on my nerves. Especially the very last time where she was like, "You should know better by now. You should know better by now. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So that really torqued me off. Where she gets. We're gonna do spoilers, right? She gets fooled by the
spoilers.
She gets fooled by the video footage and just assumes that this person is now a bad guy, and I was really annoyed by that one. I did like the twist of who was the real guilty party, though, and how it kind of all came to her at once. I liked how that was done, where she figured out that, you know, where the information had to have come from, and the strange wording in her father's letter. And can we talk about her horrible father for a second?
Oh, he's the worst. The worst.
How terrible, how awful is that? I mean, and he wasn't even a paranormal guy. He was like just a horrible, horrible human.
He was horrible. And her mother, I mean, she's just a sucker. Like, oh my God. Like, I feel bad for them. But, you know, I guess sometimes when you love somebody, you tend to try to believe that they've changed, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
mother was kind of a patsy, right? She wasn't much of a character, just kind of the extra, I don't want to say burden, but I did like at the beginning how they introduced all the things that Alexandra had going on. She had, you know, the mother she was trying to support, and the dad in prison, and you know, sometimes the backstory is introduced as just kind of a one-dimensional thing. I felt like she had a lot going on with the sister and the mother and the multiple sclerosis, which is, you know, I don't know if you guys know this, you're not from this area, but Pacific Northwest has a much higher incidence than normal of multiple sclerosis, and nobody really knows why. So that's kind of just a side note.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I know like 3 people that have it. So, you know, there's a lot of research going on in this area about it, but it is way more common here than generally, I guess. So.
But, you know, I did like that Alex was, I mean, even despite her bad judgments at times, she is a real, like, overall responsible kind of heroine. And I like her. Like, she's serious about her job. She's serious about her partner. You know, her family situation is, like, bad, kind of. But, you know, she supports her mother and her sister. And, I mean, she's got some flaws, but she's a strong person, and I like that. Like, even when, you know, she gets involved with Kel and like they're doing all these things, and then they're mated and he's trying to boss her around, she's like, okay, hold on, wait a minute.
I absolutely love that.
I think if readers are a fan of police procedurals, they will like some of what they find here. I mean, it's not deeply technical, but I think some of the tropes and the ways that the cops interact in the cop shop are familiar, so it's not the major theme of the book, but I liked the way the guys talked to her when she finally got that why they were ribbing her, kind of. And I really liked that scene where she finally just sort of talked to him on a level where they were like, no, we give everybody shit, and this is just the flavor that you get. So and she kind of felt like they didn't ever accept her. So I did like that scene a lot.
Well, and I get where they're coming from, like as far as they do give everyone mess, but you are the only woman, so that's what they use for the tool to badger you with, because that's all you got. So I'm like, well, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I think all of us are reading that sort of thing with a little bit different viewpoint this year, right?
Yes.
So
yes,
and this book was written a few years ago, so I think they still address it kind of. Some people may find it like that's still not okay, where they're trying to make a case for why it's okay. But I like that they addressed it head on and talked about it.
Yeah, it's not okay, I don't think. And, she did kind of call one of I can't remember exactly who she was talking about. She's like, yeah, that's still sexual harassment or something. She pretty much called a spade a spade. And then they were like, oh, well, we're not going to talk to you like that anymore. We were just kidding. But especially, and it's true, like, because this was written a while ago and now all these other things are going on in the news now, it's kind of like, oh, man, just like...
Yeah. So, 2 years ago, I might not have thought twice about that scene, but it seems really pivotal right now.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the whole sweet ass thing. I mean, everyone's talking to her like this. I mean, seriously, they're talking to her in public, like openly, like it's just degrading a little bit. And she's a police officer with a gun, as she said a lot of times, and you should respect her, like,
Exactly. And the first time she arrested Kel and had him in holding, and he just kept talking about how sexy she was in that dress, and that's why he followed her down the alley. I think this was like in chapter 2 or 3. Like, this was the very beginning. I was like, this is making me uncomfortable. Why are you saying this in front of your cousin / lawyer, in front of the other cops? Like, I know you can't say the truth that you're a witch hunting this drug, but you don't have to make it sexual. You don't have to be like, oh yeah, she had these really long legs and this sweet ass, and I was going down the alley to follow her. Like that.
Yeah. I honestly think I would have liked him. Now, okay, I think that he's not bad as far as heroes go, as far as like book boyfriends and that whole thing that people rave about the guys. I mean, he's not a bad one, he's a pretty decent one, but I think I would have liked him even more if he would have presented himself differently publicly. And guys, raunchy as he wanted privately, I don't care, but like, don't be doing that in front of people. Like, that's so disrespectful. It's like
exactly.
Yeah, that didn't bother me in this book. I thought it was okay, or I didn't think about it enough. But it didn't jump out and bug me like it did you guys. I will say that I've read a couple of other. Zanetti has a number of series, and I would say it's pretty true to form that her heroes are very close to the alpha hole line. So if you're a person I'm pretty tolerant of that. Like, you have to be a pretty awful jerk for me to for it to be over the line for me. As long as they're redeemed in the end and they have a good heart, I'm usually okay. I can usually deal with it. A lot of people have a much lower tolerance for that, and those folks may not like this kind of series as much. Because I will say there were some of her books in other series that there was a couple moments where I just went, okay, no, I'm not okay with what this hero is doing. So that is something that to be aware of with these books. So
yeah. I might fall in that bucket because honestly, like I said, I do not mind raunchiness privately. I'm okay with like some of the sex they were having, and I was okay with some of the pot control things that they were doing. That didn't bother me, but I'm like, you're just so disrespectful publicly. I have that is like a big problem for me. but yes, I understand that sometimes people with hard jobs and powerful jobs, they do like to be submissive in the bedroom, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm not anti that stuff. It's like fine, whatever. But I just did not like some of the things that they were. Maybe that's just me being, I don't know, feminist. I don't know what you want to call it. Me, I don't know. But I just didn't like some of that. And not like to the point where it turned me off from the book, because obviously I kept reading, but it's something that was notable to me. So yeah, I think Nicola's right. If you have an aversion to those kind of heroes, then this might rub you a little the wrong way. But I mean, to me, it wasn't like he was, like I said, he wasn't a bad guy. I didn't feel that like he was to that extreme. He's not.
Yeah.
But
I didn't see him as an asshole. There were just a few scenes where I was like, I don't really like what you're saying here. Can we not? Can we move on?
Yeah.
I think that he's that way because he needed to challenge her, and she needed to be like, for the way the characters interacted. I feel like that was all part of the way they sort of clash and cause some sparks to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you know what? They did have very good chemistry together. The sex scenes were very serious.
Very hot. Yes.
Yes. So, I mean, that part was good. I mean, I believed their quick relationship, their quick mating and all of that. I mean, because the chemistry part was there. So it made sense and it fit. So that part I was okay with that half of things. So.
Yeah, there's a little bit where I think not having the previous series caused a few questions to come up in my mind, like what their rules of mating are, and whether she was, what was it called, enhanced? Like he didn't think she was, but she really was, and so I don't know. I thought that was a little hard to follow.
Yeah.
I did think that was an odd way to mate with someone, is to like. What do you call
it? Bite them and burn them.
Yeah, I mean,
brand.
And I'm like, I'm like, that's not hot. Like, what did you do to me? First,
he didn't mean to. He didn't mean to.
Right.
And he
how
felt
can
bad
you
about
do that
it.
with not meaning to? Like, that's what I didn't get.
Yeah, like I say, I think that magic was a little bit hard for me to follow there. And their whole thing about the magic in the series, right? What do we think of that? The electricity or the plasma or the glowing thing that they do? That was it seemed kind of dangerous. Like you get excited and things catch fire. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was interesting, and I think the more I get into this world, the more it will make sense for me. It wasn't like unbelievable, because I honestly, I've never read about these kind of witches that can do this sort of thing. It's very different.
Yeah.
But I kind of found that good as well, because it really was a different take on things, which was kind of refreshing to just have a different shake-up of things. So I like that.
Exactly. Like, I was really excited that there were male witches, because usually in paranormal romances, it's only the females who are witches and the males usually don't have magic. Isn't that like, that's the trope? But I really enjoyed the fact that
I think it all
males.
depends. There's a lot of different versions. Kim Harrison's has male witches, and Jim Butcher has male witches, and but yeah, a lot of times the witch trope is kind of a female earth magic kind of thing. And this just seems like a different kind of paranormal race that somebody decided to call a witch. Usually witches have to do with like spells, so the whole plasma thing is really like different.
Yeah, it is. I mean, in the fact that it seems like, because even the main character, or Alex, she was able to make her own fire too. It was like, that happened fast. But yet they were saying, oh, you will become more immortal the longer you guys are together, and you as an empath will become stronger the longer you guys are together. But it seemed weird to me that she was able to make fire so fast. It seemed really odd. I'm like, wow, that happened fast.
It was
she had to be trained,
2 days, right?
And it was pretty weak, right?
it was strong enough for her to save some lives, or her partner's life, and then later she used it again. But I mean, I guess. But it just seemed like with them reinforcing that it's going to take a minute for all these other things to happen. And then you wake up in the next day or 2 days later, bam, you can make fire on accident. And then we can train for half a day. And now you can use it.
Well, she really didn't know what she was doing when she was saving her partner, which could have gone very badly, right? So that was interesting that way she tried to like breathe it into him. And I couldn't tell if she was trying to breathe it out of him or breathe hers in to fight the bad fire in him. I was a little unclear on how all that was working.
I think she was trying to smother his flame by pulling the oxygen out with hers or something. Yeah, it's kind of weird to explain. It is.
Yeah.
I just imagined it as like magical CPR. That was where my brain went. I was like, all right, just magical CPR.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't they say that they'd never seen it used that way before?
I don't remember.
I thought that she came up with something that they didn't know you could do, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember that. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting that she was able to just do all that so quickly. And even though she didn't know what she was doing exactly, like you said, Nicola, she was very efficient. It would have been cool to see something. I mean, not to say it's good to see bad things happen, but I think it would have been kind of in line to see some major consequence of that. I don't know. It could have went a little deeper with it instead of just her saving him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he got hurt, I was really worried that it was going to be, I mean, it was the whole build up, the whole book. He's 6 weeks from retirement. Like, oh my God, he's going to die.
Yeah.
Right. And I was really glad he didn't die. But yeah, it would have been interesting to see her like screw up with her powers. And I feel like she did. Didn't she do something where they had to bring in the king to pardon her or something? I can't remember. But
she flew off the handle, arrested everybody, brought in the laser guns, and broke the rules for their magical realm or whatever. And so that's what they were saving her from.
Yeah. That was a little, I mean, I was okay with it. I think it's pretty common in paranormal romance, but I think some people would see that final resolution as being a little too easy, where they bring in the king and he just makes everybody do what he wants them to do and cleans it all up pretty easy peasy. So, I thought that the plot twist of who was the bad guy and everything was really interesting. I really liked that, but I could see how, if you like your plotting to be a little bit more twisty, a little bit more complicated, you might not be happy with the way it all turned out.
Yeah, I could see that as well. I don't know. To me, since you're talking about plot and stuff, I guess I figure I want to kind of drop a note in on pacing. Even though the book is like kind of short, it's under 300 pages. I found that the pacing was pretty slow, in my opinion, for the first maybe 30% of the book before I really felt vested and things started moving. And for me, that's just a tad longer than I'd like for me to feel like, okay, I'm in this. Where are we going with it? That was just a little long for me, but it's a slow burn. So if you like things that are kind of like that early on, I think it would be good. But the second half, it was like it was a downhill race. It seemed like things were going really, really fast and coming together really fast. And I liked that part. Mm-hmm. But to me, just the beginning, it was kind of just a little slow. Plot-wise, pace-wise, it was just slow for me. What did you guys think of the pacing?
I thought the ending was too fast. Like, she arrested everybody, the king brought them out, and then all of a sudden, like, I don't know, it just felt like almost immediately after that, it was the final showdown, and then they're saying, I love you, and then the book is over. I was like, what?
Well, there's no better time to say that you love someone when you think they're about to die. So that's what always happens.
After you've called in the SWAT team on them.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I think the first part of the book, the sex will pull you through if you're. I think that's the plan. There is like that's all about the attraction and the hot sex, and a little bit of setup with the terrible people in the motorcycle club, um, and then the danger that Alexandra was in. So it's kind of setting the motivations for everybody to blast through the last half of the book. The speed in at the end didn't bother me. The resolution didn't bother me. Like I say, the only thing that I would criticize a little bit is, if you look at the Deus Ex Machina thing as a downside where somebody just walks in and is all powerful and fixes everything, kind of like the scribe virgin in the J.R. Ward books, just always waves her wand and changes all the rules so that everybody can live happily ever after. It's not quite that bad, but I felt like there was a little bit of that going on with the way the king came in and just handled everything.
Yeah, I wonder if he's going to do that every book. Like whenever something goes down, he'll just come in and be like, "It's handled, thank you," and then exit stage right. I don't know.
That would be that. Let us hope not, because that would not be great. But
no. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of contradicting things in this book. We talked a little bit about Alex trusting Cal, and then no, I don't trust you.
Trusting
Get in
him.
jail. I trust you. No, we're calling SWAT team. No, I trust you. No, I don't. It's like, oh gosh. Like I felt bad for him a little bit. Like, geez, like
I did too.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Up until the last one, I was right there with it up until the last U-turn she made, and I was just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, that video was of them taking the body down. They didn't hurt him. He was already dead.
Right.
There was no smoking gun.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I didn't actually. It took me a minute to realize what she was doing and why. I'm like, wait a minute, you did what? No, what now?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So yeah, that bothered me.
Yeah, and even like, I don't know, and I know we talked a little bit about kind of some of the sexism stuff, but I guess there were a little. What do I want to say? Like, I guess their relationship is very volatile, or like there were a few times where he manhandled her, and there were a few times where she kind of like hit him or something, and then it's like, I don't know. Something about some of that kind of just, I guess it just didn't settle well with me. I don't know why exactly, but it just kind of didn't. So not to like
because
rehash.
That's not a healthy way to start a relationship.
Yeah, maybe that.
Well, it is witches and vampires and shifters, so I think you have to give them a little bit of leeway on the politically correct courtship kind of thing.
Yes, but then he keeps saying, "You're human. You're weak. You need to lay. Stand back. You're gonna get hurt." But yet, he'll grab her up real fast. I mean, I don't know. I guess.
Well, he was worried about her because she didn't. He felt like she didn't know what she was getting into because she didn't know about their world. She didn't know what kind of magic they could do, and she'd managed to get herself in the middle of all this. These paranormal factions, and so I mean he wasn't wrong. She couldn't, when they first got together, she couldn't hurl fireballs, and the people she was trying to arrest or whatever didn't respond to bullets. It was just kind of like he wasn't wrong, but he maybe went about it a little bit more alpha than you like, Tamara.
Yeah. But also that shows her bullheadedness as well. Like, okay, clearly you are in a different kind of situation that you're not familiar, but you can't recognize that and take proper precautions either. You're just going to be bullheaded and keep doing what you want to do. Screw everything else.
Exactly. It was annoying that she wouldn't stop and think. But at the same time, he never told her. Like, he kept a lot of secrets from her and wouldn't explain things to her. And he kept saying, oh, it's for your greater good. And, like, he didn't tell her about the guy on the tree. What's his name? The one who caused the whole problems at the end?
Well, they were I can't remember his name either, the snitch or whatever. But,
Yeah, the snitch.
But
like he kept that from her, which is why she called SWAT on him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, was there that much chance for him to tell her about it? I thought there were in parallel action paths at that arcs at that point, but
I thought like at least a day had passed since he found the body or he saw the body. I wasn't quite clear on the timeline, so I don't know. But still, like he knew he purposely kept that information from her.
Yeah.
And there were other things that he purposely kept from her even after they made it and she joined his world and he could legally tell her. He didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Duly noted, like for real.
Yeah, that's classic. Yeah, her being bullheaded is classic urban fantasy heroine stuff, right? I mean, you don't get to be a heroine by saying, "Oh, okay, I'll let you protect me." You know?
No, this is true.
It's not part of the rules.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far either. I wouldn't say I'm going to let you protect me, but I will say, well, obviously, I need to learn some other things, so I'm going to let you teach me how to protect myself, and then I will go out.
But events are moving really fast, and she's a cop, and she's got to put people. You know, she's a cop. Did you know she was a cop? And she's
well, she did tell us a couple dozen times. So
she's a cop, and these people need to go to jail.
She doesn't have time to sit and take judo lessons from the witches. So.
Well, you know how quickly she learned how to make fire and all that. Maybe she could have learned jujitsu or whatever in the half a day and then been a ninja.
She could have taken one of his laser guns. Yeah. Like, really? That's all you needed.
Yeah.
I did like the thread about where he was going to send her to Ireland, and she was like, "Oh, hell no!"
Exactly. Like, what are you talking about? No.
And they did. They talked that out, and he had this sort of 300-year-old dudely plan, and she was like, "Nah," and it worked out in a very 21st century way, I thought. But I liked that little interplay.
Yeah, because, there are times where he actually seems like he's in the 21st century and he understands that. But then there's other times, like a time when he understood it is when I think his brother was saying, "Hey, get your woman in check. You better do this." He's like, how do you exactly think I'm supposed to do that? Excuse me.
Yeah, and that's a setup for the brother to fall, right? That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Did you guys read the preview for the next book? That was I was intrigued. I wanted to go ahead and read it, but I'm holding off so it'll be fresher when we do our podcast.
No, I saw it and I decided to stop just because it's like you, it's a little bit ways off, so I decided not to.
It made me want to read it. So,
Casey, did you read it?
That's good. No, I waited like you.
Okay. Self-restraint. Alex needs to learn some. We got this.
She needs to learn how to stop and think and not call SWAT.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to see how much we'll actually see of Kel and Alex in the next book. Obviously, they're going to be around, right? Because they're kind of all together still. But, we're going to move on and focus on another brother, I assume, based on the little bit of that I saw of the cover art of the next book. So,
yep.
Yeah, fun stuff. Okay, so what else? Anything else like kind of you think we should talk about for this title?
I think I'm wondering about the sister. Like, is the sister going to come and get going with one of the other brothers, or
I like how she
I like how she became BFFs with the lawyer cousin right away. That was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, if she's around the group, she's gonna probably kick it off with one of the guys. I mean, who knows? It could be one of the cousins even.
Yeah.
Well, if Alex has the enhancement powers, then her sister probably does too.
Yeah.
Which that was
I think they even said something about that.
Yeah.
So I think Dare is the next one. He's like the older brother, and I think he was the one that said, get your woman in check, and so that'll be fun.
I thought Dare. Okay, so is Kel like the baby? Because I thought Dare was the younger brother, and that the other guy that started with the
Adam.
Adam or Alex or Alan or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Adam.
I thought he was the older brother.
I had a little trouble keeping them all straight. I'll be honest with you.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you the order.
Okay, because I thought I could have swore he was the youngest, though. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, so don't quote me on that. I don't know.
Kel did say he was the one who was the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm interested to see how the other brothers turn out, because I don't know if I'd call him fun.
Yeah, he's
That's
not
just
fun.
me being mean.
I'm skimming through the book, and I think Dare is the oldest.
Oh, he is?
I think so. Kel measured Dare's mood, wondering at what point his oldest brother would decide to decimate the humans. Dare had a short temper, was fucking fine with that, and would have no problem erasing the problem and starting over.
But they also said the other brother was older than him, too. So maybe Kel is the baby. Maybe he's just the baby of the brothers.
Yeah, I don't remember. So, anyway, that's the setup for the next book a little bit.
Okay, so yeah, yes, I was kind of playing around with rating it, but I think we should do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. 1 to 5, like on Goodreads, so we can't do halves, because Goodreads, you can't do halves. So go with yours first, Nicola.
I'm at a solid 4. I like it.
Awesome. Casey?
I'm going to give it 3 stars. It was good, and I did enjoy parts, but there were just some things that I couldn't fully get behind. There were some things that annoyed me. And I'm hoping, I'm excited to read the next book. If it's about Dare, I'm excited to see him fall for a woman, because that's how this happens. And I'm excited to see what that looks like.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to concur with you, Casey, with a 3. I mean, obviously I've had my issues with the title, but, there were some things that I liked as well. And this is just my first, time dipping my toe into the Zanetti pool. So I'm curious to see what's, coming up in the second installment. I mean, and honestly, most series, they keep getting better as you read. So I'm expecting me to enjoy the next book even more. Let's all cross our fingers. Yes. Amen.
Yes.
I might go ahead and read that other series, The Dark Protectors, just in between to get grounded in the magic, and then I can let you guys know if it's if that's the problem or if that's a problem.
That's smart, yeah, because
I liked it more than you guys did, so I'm happy to do that.
Yes, thank you, Nicola. We love you for that, because I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get through 7 books before we do the next podcast, but maybe the first couple.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, then you can give us some point of reference and things that we might be confused on. Maybe you can explain it, because you'll have some more insight than we will.
It would be great if any of our readers had any inputs on that. Like, have you read the Dark Protector series, and does it add to the Realm Enforcers experience?
Yeah, exactly. And if it does, tell us if we really, really need to go back and read the other. If you wholeheartedly feel like we've misstepped by skipping it, let us know, please. I'd be curious to see. Not saying that I'm actually going to do it, but at least I know what I'm dealing with.
We could go through and read the thumbnails, right? That would maybe help a little.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, this has been a fun conversation, and I kind of liked getting into a different series and, trying on some different characters. So it's been cool. Mm-hmm. And so that's it. So we will be back this time at the end of the month, next month, and we'll be talking about the second book in this series, which is Wicked Edge, and by Rebecca Zanetti. So if you're reading along, please tweet at us, use the hashtag 3bloggers1series. That's with a numeric 3 and 1, or tweet at us. You have our Twitter handles below in the show notes, and we'll be happy to talk with you on Twitter about this book. We will.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Convince us to read the first series or not,
Yes, exactly. All right. So it's been fun, guys. And until next time, happy reading. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
If you enjoyed today's book chat episode and would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy all things bookish, including author interviews. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.